Why? Why would they do it? Why would they do it? How would they do it? Right? Why? You're at the center of creation. The globe is a prison for your mind. They want to trap you. It's this is here. The bottom line is this is a spiritual war. They want your soul and they're fishing for it with the soul lure system.
Welcome to After Hours with Dr. Sigaloff, where he can share ideas and thoughts with you. He gets to the heart of the issue so that you can find the truth. The views and opinions expressed are his and do not represent the U.S. Army, DoD, nor the U.S. government. Dr. Sigaloff was either off duty or on approved leave, and Dr. Sigaloff was not in uniform at the time of recording. Now, to Dr. Sigaloff.
All right, thanks for joining me again. I want to thank all my Patreon supporters for all the help they've given me. I want to first say thank you to Shell Pace at the $50 level. We've got Sam and Angela Shelkey at the 2020 level. We have the Plandemic Reprimando at $17.76 with Ty, Charles, Tinfoil, Stanley, Dr. Anna, who's been a guest on this show, Frank. We've got the $10 self-made level with Kevin. We've got the Refine Not Burn level at $5 with Linda, Emmy, Joe, Pat, and Bev. PJ, Rebecca, Marcus, Elizabeth, Dawn, Jennifer, and then our lowest tier at $1 a month, and I appreciate every dollar as much as I can appreciate. Courage is contagious. We've got Amanda, Jay, Spetsnasty, Darrell, Susan, BB King, who was a guest on the show, and Rick. Thank you so much for all your support. Right now, the dollar has gone down in its value, and I appreciate every single dollar and all the prayers if you're not able to provide any monetary support at this time. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Dave Weiss. He is known as Flat Earth Dave. Now, as I understand, because I've watched quite a few of your interviews, you were in a very different place not too long ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We all have the same story, but continue.
and so if I remember right, you had said, and it shocks me because if we talked 2 years ago about, let's say, food, I would have been in a similar place. Like, no, you got to eat your veggies, you got to eat your fruit. And you were, I think it was in 2015, you had said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you had said the earth is round and you refuse to look at it. And then all of a sudden you kick that door open and here you are.
Basically every flat earth researcher or level earth, true earth, whatever you want to call it, flat earth has been weaponized like conspiracy theory. But I embrace it. We all have the same story. We even though I am a truth seeker. I did a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, looking at all the conspiracies. I'd look at anything and analyze it. I'm a conspiracy analyst, not a theorist. Okay. And when Flat Earth came up, I'm like, I'm not looking at that. That's stupid. That's not worth my time. And that's what we've all been programmed to do. And then refuse. And then my good friend, Sophia Smallstorm, another deep researcher, she did 9/11 mysteries and unraveling Sandy Schnook, we'll say, that she's like, David, I think the earth is flat. And I was like, are you kidding me? And then I went in with a closed mind. I went in, when you investigate something, you say, okay, what is this? And you look at the facts. I went in going, flat earth is stupid. The globe is real. Let me prove it. Let me disprove flat earth and prove the globe. And that's how you become a flat earther.
That's interesting because, we talked a little bit beforehand and I'm not convinced one way or the other totally. I think I watched many of your shows and I'm like, man, that makes so much more sense. Like the one that really gets me, and I've had this thought since fifth grade, since I've heard about it, where you have those two obelisks and they're, 500 miles away or some ridiculous distance. How in that time did they know that it's the same time of day? Because
they had a tin can with a string and they pull it really tight and they were talking to each other through the tin can and string.
If you wait for high noon is, whether it's flat or round, it's the same time.
Well, no. If he's east or west, high noon is, that much mileage different. You have to wait for the earth to rotate. So as you walk west, it's getting earlier.
But high noon for each person 500 miles apart the shadows will be the same.
At high noon, But
Because
but
it's
high noon isn't
here.
the same time for each of them. If
Right.
he's 500 miles
3
away,
hours later,
it's 30 minutes different time.
Yeah, and then an hour or however long, 30 minutes, like you said, then it's high noon here. And so how do you transmit the voice that, hey, measure now, when it's been a 30-minute lapse of time?
Right. And how did they measure it? They measured it by by what he counted his steps, right? That he counted his steps, and for those of you that don't know, Aristophanes, figured out the sphericity of the earth by measuring these two posts a mile apart. I mean, now I'm 500 miles apart, and his had no shadow right here. Aristophanes is right here, and here's his buddy, and you can measure the length of the shadow, do some great math and perfectly good calculus, and there that gives you the shape of the earth. And Carl Sagan, he wound that into our heads in the show Cosmos, like, oh, Aristophanes did it, but the truth is, on a flat earth with a close sun, here's Aristophanes, here's his buddy, here's the stick shadow. It's the same equation. We'll figure out that the sphericity of that flat table. I don't know if I'm a little older than you. Cosmos was big when I was in college, and Carl Sagan was there, and this was a big episode, and he's talking about the sticks and shadows and how if the earth is curved, can one have a shadow and the other one not? But that's not true. On a flat earth with a local sun, it works perfectly fine, and you could just do a little experiment yourself. Here's 2 beer bottles. The light is above this one. There's no shadow. And there's a shadow over here. You can do some math, figure out the sphericity of this flat floor. Okay. Math is not reality.
Well, you can make numbers say whatever you want them to say, as we've seen with in medicine recently, and basically look back at any research project. And I was speaking to a guy who went to a master's program, and he said, yeah, we learned how to manipulate numbers to say whatever we wanted them to say.
What's funny? People are so lazy that when they hear the Aristophanes thing, they're like, oh, that makes sense. And Carl Sagan said it. And, oh, great. But then if you look back and you say, okay, Aristophanes 2,000 years ago figured out the sphericity of the earth, the size, makes him a pretty famous mathematician. But all of the mathematicians that wrote books for the next 20 centuries never mentioned Aristophanes. Okay. That's like, writing a history of the Chicago Bulls and leaving out Michael Jordan. The only book, the oldest book we can find was published in the 1900s. Wait a minute. It took them, 1900 years to write a book about this famous experiment that doesn't prove anything. And then the other thing is, back then, the Greeks believed in a geocentric earth, whether globe or flat, we could argue all day, but they believed in a geocentric earth with a sun circling the earth. Well, how do you have a distant sun? We call it an infinitely far sun because it's so far away that the rays come in parallel, right? But 2 things. One, how do you have a tiny little earth with a distant giant sun circling the earth? Makes no sense. And the other thing is, nobody has ever seen parallel rays, ever. There are no parallel rays, ever. So what made Aristophanes think that this impossible giant sun at an infinite distance is circling around a tiny little speck globular earth? The story doesn't hold up. It's nonsense. But people don't want to use their brains and actually think it through and look at the evidence. Aristophanes proves the earth is flat, if you ask me.
Well, and again, I'm looking from that half in, half out of the door. I think it's a wash. It's a null hypothesis that's proven, because you can't, because if the sun is closer, like you're saying, if it is, which, we could say we don't know. I can
go outside.
I think you can show that it's not far.
Yeah, go outside and look up at the sun. Look at the sun with a clear head. Where is it? Okay. I was watching the sunset yesterday. Go watch the sun at sunset. If you're near water or a nice flat area, go watch the sunset where you can really look at it and ask yourself, how far is that? Forget what men have told you, what the Rockefellers have forced you to memorize from their ridiculous textbooks, and ask yourself, how far is that sucker? Right. And I ask myself, I think the sun that we see is literally less than 100 miles away.
Oh, wow.
But that's the sun that we see, and that gets into a much longer discussion. But the sun that we see is very, very, very close.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, because I mean, these pictures you're showing here, it shows that those are not parallel rays. You can see, in the same picture, those are not parallel, and they should be. In physics in high school, we calculated everything as, well, we just take the light source and say that it's so infinite away that all of the rays are parallel, but that's not parallel. I can see they're not parallel.
Yeah. If you watch, if people say, well, how does the sun set? And this is a simple way. This is that magnifying glass represents the atmosphere. And as this guy moves the sun away, let's go, move it away. You can see he's just moving it away, and it literally sets below. Hold on, I'll go again. Sorry about that. It'll set below the table.
And this is a sphere on a fixed height platform being moved away on a flat plane. Yeah. And it looks like it's going down.
It looks like it's going down. Right? And people don't understand, perspective first. Here are streetlights. They're all at the same level, flat road, but it looks like they're going down. Here's the sun or just going, and it looks like it's going down. And it's just due to perspective. And then you have the atmospheric deck, which is all compressing and literally becomes opaque. It appears to be at eyesight, at the horizon. And then the sun just goes beyond it. Let me show you my flat earth kitchen. So this line represents the path of the sun, and I'm moving the sun across. We're watching it from a celestial point of view. That means I'm watching it from the height of the sun. And you can see that whether this is clouds, a city skyline, mountains, it's above it. It doesn't go, it's level. Now I have a terrestrial camera on the counter at the other end watching the same thing. So we'll watch it from a terrestrial point of view. Same thing. Look at this line. If I said to you, is this line level? What would you say? You're like, no, it's sloping down. And I'm like, is this sun going behind or below this thing that looks like it's kind of at eye level? It's not, right? And it's just going away. Now look at this line. This line is level. This sun is moving away, level, right? And this looks like it's at eye level because everything merges to your eye level. Here's a real sunset compared to my kitchen. What's it going behind here? Now that could be mountains, but it's actually the atmospheric deck of opacity. And if I zoomed out, the space between where that sun is getting eclipsed and the water will literally just become one point. It'll become a line. I'm zoomed in on this.
I have a question for you. I was asked by a friend to ask you this from the Navy. And she wanted me to ask you, and I think you're kind of explaining it here, but it's, so when you're in a submarine and you're on the tower and then you look through the periscope, you can see further from the periscope than you can from standing on the tower because the periscope stands up taller. Now, I think what you just showed, I think that explains some of it, but do you have more on that?
Yeah. So people think you're taught that, because you're higher, you can see over the curve of the ball. That may or may not be true, but the ball's so big, how much higher you have to go to see how much farther. When you're looking out at the angular size, you have it's called the angular resolution limit of your eyes. So when I look down at the floor 6 feet below me, I see the length of the floor, but as it goes away, the floor rises and rises and rises, and it keeps trying to get up to my eye level, right? And there becomes a point where there's a horizon. Now, if the Earth was a ball, 24,901 miles around, I'm 6 feet tall, standing at the edge of calm water, I should not be able to see the surface of that water beyond 3 miles because there's a 6 foot drop at 3 miles. So the water, I should not be able to see behind it because there's a physical horizon. Just like it's blocking my mouth right now, You can't see it because there's a physical horizon, right? But on a flat Earth, the horizon is optical, and I'm going to show you that our horizon is optical, right? So if you get up higher, you're just increasing the angle, your angle of view, and it allows you to see farther, right? A snake on the floor in the Home Depot can't see as far as you standing up looking out, right? Because that everything rises up to eye level and then it mirages from there, right?
If I was on a round Earth, I still shouldn't be able to see significantly farther unless I go significantly higher, right?
On a round Earth, look at this. So if you're watching the sunset, over the calm water, on a round Earth, that sun should merge with the water 3 miles from you, because you can't see the surface of the water any farther because the Earth is dropping away. So where you see the sun intersecting the water is 3 miles away. You ever witness that? No. When you look at the sun, it's like, I don't know, is it 30 miles away, 20 miles away, 50, 100? It's not 3. Okay. But then there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Let me show you. I'm trying to find a specific video. So this boat is sitting there. As I zoom out, this boat becomes too small for you to see. Now, if I went up, I might be able to see it without zooming in because I'm increasing my angular size. So literally the bottom of the boat, the bottom of a building will disappear before the top of the building due to it has the lowest angular size from your eyes, right? Anything beyond 0.02 degrees is too small for your eye to see. The formula that is anything that's 3,000 times as far as its diameter is impossible to see. So if you had a penny 3,000 pennies away, you couldn't see it because its angular size is too small. If you had something a mile wide, 3,000 miles. I got to look into that because you can't see 3,000 miles. That's the problem. Like a basketball, line up 3,000 basketballs, you won't be able to see the last one. Okay. You with me?
You know, with that, if we could look at like a star, because stars are big, but we're told they're much further away than 3,000 times the diameter.
Right. Well, so here's the other thing. I just want to show you a couple of things here. Now, you see this boat here? These waves in front of this boat are hiding the bottom half of the boat. And if you zoom out, you don't really see those waves, right? But these waves are hiding the boat. And if that boat went a little bit farther, you wouldn't be able to see it, okay? You wouldn't be able to see it because it would just the boat would be getting smaller and those waves in the foreground are staying the same size. I think this is the one I want to show you. So here's this sailboat and you got these waves in front of it and you keep losing part of the boat. You zoom out, someone's going to say, oh, it's below the curve. It's not, it's behind the waves. And if there's no waves, there's atmospheric, there's moisture in the air and it all just blocks everything down low. So I'm trying to find one where I have there's another. Oh, here we go. So look at this boat way in the distance. It's still there on the horizon. It's way past that boat. Okay. But I can still see it. And if you look carefully, you can still see the water beyond that other boat. Zoom out, they all disappear. Okay. It's flat. It's flat as can be. So no boats on the horizon. Zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. Oh, there's a boat. Just comes out of nowhere. Okay.
It just seems like it just appears at one point.
It does. That's because this is how our eyes work. People have no idea how our eyes work. Okay.
Now I've seen you do a video of the sunset, and it's smaller, smaller, smaller. Then just seems to disappear, which is that same phenomenon we just saw with the boat.
Yeah, it gets the sun fade out. So is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me show that for those of you that that don't know what we're talking about, the here it is. So this only works on a super clear day. Okay. Super clear day. So I got a drone up and it's super cold. There, it was literally freezing. It was 32 degrees actually that day. And the sun went down, 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 down. Now, if we were spinning, it would just keep on going, right? Because we're spinning at a constant speed. But it went down, 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 down. It stopped. It sat here. This is super sped up. It just sat here for 10 minutes. And it just took its light with it. And it disappeared. Okay. People go, well, I watched a million sunsets. How come I've never seen that? That's CGI. I've live streamed this. I filmed it 7 different times. I have the high definition up there. The thing is, the reason you haven't seen it is, one, you weren't hanging out outside when it was freezing cold. You weren't at altitude and filming with a 4K camera. Okay. Because you can't see this with your naked eye. Right. It just takes its light away.
That is wild to see.
Yeah. And when people really start to understand, how we see and what the sun is doing, then you get it. But the problem is people are lazy and they don't want to take the time. Here's what people say is, well, the sun, it would get smaller and smaller on your flat pancake Earth. And I'm like, okay, well, let's have a lesson in perspective. This train is getting smaller because this viewer is looking at it from the same level as it goes away. Okay. These lines are all level, but if you look at these red lines, look at these here. They're going down, but they're all level. But this is how our eyes see things that are above us. So here is a normal view, and then this is a what I call Muppet vision. It's a forget the word. You're looking. No one ever sees from the side. You never look at your side of your face, right? And so the sun is just going away, but it's dropping due to perspective, and this is what this person sees. Okay, so now if we take the train cars, they're already smaller. Because it's already away, it's already shrunk and it's just going away. Right? So here's a real world example, not just a cartoon. We got this ball and this ball. They're both the same. This one's 6 feet away, I think. Okay. And we're at the same level. We're at the same level. It's a wiffle ball, another wiffle ball. Okay. Now we're going to raise the camera up. We could flip it around. I can't put the balls in the ceiling, so I'm just going to raise the camera up. Now, I'm not going to get any closer to this one. I raise the camera up, right? And the balls become basically the same size. I'm no closer to this one, right? And now, well, this one's a little bit smaller. Well, you know what? Sometimes the sun is a little bit smaller. Okay. But when the sun is going farther and farther away from you, you have more and more atmosphere, and it's also getting magnified. So as it's shrinking, it's getting magnified. It's a delicate balance, right? But the other thing is measuring the sun during the middle of the day is really hard. It's because it's glare, right? You can't really see it. Okay. And then at the very, very end, all the Globers with my sun fade out, they'd be like, Dave, put on a solar filter. You put on a solar filter, you can't see it. It disappears. It's gone, right? Because you need a really bright, it's not bright enough to push through the solar filter. So my point was, the sun, sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, but you ever watch a giant, the sun's giant or the moon is giant on the horizon? That is an optical illusion. What do I mean by that? Right? Hold your finger out, okay, my pointer fingernail covers the sun, okay, at arm's length. And then do that at noon or when the sun's high in the sky, much smaller. And it's the same thing. Or do it with the moon so you don't have to deal with the glare. You got the giant moon, then a couple hours later, it's tiny. But hold your finger out, it's the same size. It blocks it out the same, okay? And another thing you can do to short circuit the way you see it. You ever see a giant moon, take a picture of it, look at the picture and go, it's tiny. It looks tiny in the picture. It's your brain. It's the way your brain is doing it. When you see a giant moon, turn around, put your back to the moon, bend over and look at the moon through your legs, upside down, and it will be tiny. Because it short circuits your brain. Just because it's on the horizon, it's near things, your brain is interpreting the size differently. And it's hard to break that illusion, but it works.
Yeah.
Upside down and backwards. Check it out.
Those brain tricks are real. That's how magicians work. That's how you can put 2 dots on a piece of paper, eye width apart, look at one dot and the other one completely disappears. Your brain will it has a blind spot and it just stretches that white to cover up that black dot because it doesn't see that spot. And so your brain does this optical illusion. So your brain is pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Have you seen, let me just show you how powerful your brain is. Now, this is not a rectangle. It's shorter over here and longer over here. And it's spinning around in a circle. It's not going back and forth. Okay. It's just spinning around, but your brain won't let you see it because it can't bring this shorter edge closer to you. Okay. It's spinning around. So these windows are cut out. So what if we stuck a pen through the window to help break the illusion? Okay. So this guy's got a pen, he's got a little piece of tape on it, and he's gonna stick it through one of the windows and he's gonna spin it around. Right. So he sticks it through and now he's gonna spin around. Remember, it's just gonna be spinning in one direction. Do you think you'll be able to see that it's spinning?
I think I'm gonna see a pin break a couple of times.
So he's spinning the thread and he's just going to let it unwind, right? And now your brain is going to do the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Okay, so unless you can touch it, feel it, measure it, or know for a fact the size or the distance, you can't make any positive claims. Pretty crazy, right?
That is. It's hard to look at because it's like, I know that can't happen.
Because you don't know what's going on. All right, go ahead. Sorry, we were off on a side. Lead away.
No, that's perfect. The Coriolis Effect. Can you describe what's happening? You know, what they say is happening and then what you think is happening.
So I was on a show the other day and I'm pointing out all the science and they're just denying. And they're like, wait a minute, but toilets go backwards in Australia. Okay. They don't. Okay. They don't. Drains spin depending on how the water enters them. Okay. You got these hucksters at the equator that'll show you, they're on one side of the equator and they pour water in and it spins one way, and then they go to the other side and it spins the other way, and they go on the equator and it goes straight down. But if you watch as they pour the water in, they pour it on the right side of the drain and that makes it go counterclockwise. And they pour it on the left side of the drain and that makes it go counterclockwise, or vice versa, counterclockwise and clockwise, right? And people don't notice that subtle little shift. Okay. And that's the case. Matter of fact, I have a friend in Australia. I just literally just the other day, she just sent me a picture of a video of her toilet flushing, and it doesn't spin either direction. It goes straight down. I'm like, oh, you must be on the equator. It's so stupid. But there is a tendency for weather systems to spin in opposite directions on opposite sides of the equator. Okay. And that's simply because the sun and the moon, in my opinion, leave an electromagnetic wake. Okay. So the sun and the moon are traveling in between the two tropics here. So everything on one side will spin, on the south will spin counterclockwise, and everything in the north will spin clockwise. Take your hand, roll it through a tub of water or whatever, a paddle, whatever. And then look, you'll get counter rotating vortexes. Has nothing to do with the movement of the container. It has to do with the energy moving through the atmosphere. And what people don't realize is that many times there's storms that cross the tropics and are spinning in the wrong direction. totally negating the idea of Coriolis. On the app, on the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, if you hit the question mark button and you scroll down to Coriolis right here, second row, whole bunch of videos that will fully explain what's going on there. Better than I could do right here in a podcast.
That's actually a great explanation, and would explain too, because the reason I was asking is like snipers who do really long distance shooting, or if you're doing cannon fire, really long distance, 20 plus miles, you have to account for that effect, and that would make sense because these things are metallic, and if there's some sort of EMF.
Yeah, the longest range shot. Someone just made the world record. I think it was 4 miles or 2 miles. I think it was 4 miles, actually. Whatever the distance it was. And we actually, Jaron from Jaronism actually contacted the sniper, and the guy's like, no, I don't calculate for Coriolis. Okay. So, you got somebody in your scope, a mile, 2 miles away, right? And then you're like, okay, calculate your position, the angle to the equator, the rotation speed, and then you fucking move to the left. So hopefully the bullet will hook and hit the target. I mean, it's retarded. Now you look up Coriolis. Google's going to serve you a guy that says that he calculates for Coriolis and show you a pamphlet that says it. But all the snipers, we've talked to many of them. They say they never calculate for it. What's that?
I do have to say that the guy who told me this was a lieutenant back when I was a cadet. So there could be a reason there that he was telling me that. That
you do calculate for Coriolis?
Yeah, he was in a fire direction control center, which is for artillery. And he was a lieutenant. I'll just leave it at that. And everyone knows what that means.
Yeah, so you calculate for temperature, for air pressure, for wind, mostly. And for drop, like the railgun shoots over 100 miles, but 100 miles, there's 6,000 feet of curvature. So, 6,600 feet of curvature at 100 miles. That's over a mile of curvature. First, how the hell are they targeting the thing? Okay. Now that thing goes at, whatever feet per minute or whatever. All they have to do is calculate, because if you shot the thing perfectly level and at the same time you dropped a piece of that artillery, they would both hit the ground at the same time. Okay, so the amount of time that it takes there, all they have to do is calculate how fast something drops. So use that formula and say, okay, it's going to take it 4 seconds to get there or 20 seconds to get there or whatever it is. And they're like, okay, we want to shoot it at an angle, an upward angle of a fraction of a degree, just to account for that drop to make it go in a straight line across the plane. It's not shooting around a curve. Okay. And sonar actually proves that. Submarines sitting on the bottom of the ocean can see another submarine over a mile away. There should be a mountain of dirt, 6,600 feet. And the sonar climbs over the mountain, goes down, hits the submarine, climbs back up, comes back down, and goes to the sonar operator. I don't think so. Doesn't work that way. I know so.
Well, I actually spoke to a submariner, and he's higher in rank, and he's not convinced that the Earth is a globe either, and he's circumnavigated the Earth. I was like, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, circumnavigation proves the Earth is flat.
Yeah, and can you go into that a little bit? Because for most people will be like, how can you say that? But there's a particular way that we've never circumnavigated the Earth, right? Yeah.
So here's this is how it works. The flat Earth, you got your magnetic north. So I got a magnet here. I got a compass here. And you look at the needle. The needle's pointing to the north. So now I'm trying to push this west. I have to keep turning. I have to keep correcting to the north because west is right here on the compass. So I'm trying to go west, and west is a circle. Now, this doesn't prove the Earth is flat or a globe because it's the same in the north on both the globe and the flat Earth. I'm trying to go east. Look, compass is maintaining its north. East is a circle. I came right back to where I started. Now, if I try to dead reckon, so I'm pointing west right there. So that stick is west, and I'm going to follow the stick instead of my compass. I'm already going south. South is every direction away from the north. Okay. These are all south. Every one of these lines radiating it out from the center is a south line. Now, on a globe, if I go south, I should pop up over here. No one's ever gone from Santiago and popped up in Australia, ever. No one's ever done it. But south is you can't circumnavigate south. Now I'm going north, 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 and look, now I'm going south. Compass just did a 180. Every straight line is south. Every straight line is south. You know, people go, well, what, you know, no one's ever circumnavigated north to south. You know, and a lot of people love bringing up the sailboat race, the Antarctic sailboat race, right? Where they supposedly circumnavigate Antarctica, but they're using GPS. GPS is telling them how far they go, but in the South, GPS doesn't reckon with, you know, if you use stars as navigation or, you know, figure out how fast you're going. You're like, wait a minute, it has us going at 3 miles per hour. These boats go 20 to 25 miles an hour. Okay. But on their website, from Johannesburg to Brazil, just this leg of the race is 32,000 miles on their website.
What's the
circumference of the Earth at the equator is 24,900 miles around. Okay. So this leg around the Antarctica, which is supposedly like 11,000 miles around, or, you know, between 10 and 13, they can't make up their mind. 32,000 miles. And then they got to go from here to here, which is actually more miles than you realize. Okay. It's all nonsense. People, you know, like, well, there's a little drone boat that they sent around, and get the frig out of here. You know, it's so stupid when people, the excuses that they bring up. Okay. These boats don't go 3 miles an hour. Okay. They go 3 miles an hour when they're tied to the dock. All right. Right. This is the 32,000 miles. That looks more like 32,000 miles, maybe. Okay. Maybe they even cut over here. Who knows where they're going?
Well, can we, and I don't know if you're ready or you want to get into this, but why? What's the purpose? Why would they try to trick us? I mean, never mind that we've been tricked for years of medicine and they want to, you know, make us do what they want, but what would be the reasoning why they wouldn't allow someone to go from north to south, south to north? What would be the reasoning why? Just why?
Why would they do it? Why would they do it? How would they do it? Right? Why? Let me show you a quick thing. So here's the map of the world, and we're going to cut out just this section right here. Okay. And now we're going to cut that out, and we're going to wrap it around a sphere and say, this is the whole world. This is all that there is. And you're not allowed to go south. Okay. What if the world was set up like this? All of these ponds, each pond is a different world. And we live here in the middle of this pond. And they did the same thing. They cut it out and they wrapped it around a sphere and said, this is where you live, and you're not allowed to explore south. How would you know that there's anything else out there? That you're at the center of creation. Okay. So the globe is a prison for your mind. Okay. They want to trap you. This is here. The bottom line is this is a spiritual war. They want your soul, and they're fishing for it with the soul lure system. Okay. And they're making up. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, one thing I've never understood, and if this is a 3-dimensional system or 4-dimensional system, really, with, you know, like in an atom, you've got the center, you've got different clouds, and we say that the electrons are they're approximated in this space. But in the solar system, they're all on the same. Every planet is in the same plane, That makes no sense to me why they're in the same plane, because if gravity is the way they explain it is and everything, then it should be in a valence like an electron. It should be somewhere in this area, and we should find that planet circling anywhere in that area. But they say that they're all in the same plane.
The whole motions of the stars are absolutely insane, right? We're spinning, corkscrewing through space. We're spinning, we're orbiting, and we're chasing the sun, and that entire thing's moving sideways. Okay. Versus a flat Earth where all of the stars are fixed above us, turning around a central point, which we call Polaris. And when we look up, we see this. If this was true, this is what we would see. Okay. It's retarded. I'm sorry. It's just absolutely retarded. I'm bringing back that word, by the way, because they've taken it from us, because if people use the word retarded, they'll start to realize that the heliocentric model is retarded, and they don't want to tie those two things together.
So I didn't mean to derail you from your
no, it's all right. It's all right.
I believe it is spiritual warfare.
So there's divine law, which is the law of God. There's common law of the land, and then statute law, admiral maritime law, which is the law of the sea or man's law, right? In order to convince man to give up his divine rights and your common rights, you have to convince them that they're not divinely created. Okay? They're not divinely created. And
so that would be a position where, let's say, the state gives you rights rather than protects the rights that you already have because you're human.
Nobody gives you rights. You're born with rights. The state tries to pretend that they take your rights and that they grant your rights. They don't. The only rights they can take away are the ones that you, what do you got there?
Constitution and Declaration. And these say that exact thing, that our rights are given to us because we are created, not because of the state. And the state is there to protect those rights. And when they stop protecting those rights, it is your duty to dissolve those bands that connected us.
Yep.
And form a new government to protect those rights.
So if you've trapped people's minds, so your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts create reality. You are responsible for all of the good things in your life and all of the bad things in your life, because people don't realize this. They don't want people realizing this, that the vibration frequency of your thoughts attract whatever that vibration is to you. We live in a magical, amazing realm where your thoughts create your reality. Okay. You are solely responsible for your life, right? And all the things that you have in your life are because of the way that you think, right? People that live paycheck to paycheck live paycheck to paycheck because that's how they think, okay? People that think the world is horrible, well, that's because that's how they think, right? Two people can watch the same event, and one people go, oh my God, that's awful. And the other person goes, oh my God, that's amazing, right? And it's all how you look at the world, right? And so your thoughts, if they're limited, like my thoughts expand outwards. I know that there's infinite land, infinite energy, free energy, infinite food. I mean, food, right? You stick a seed, 100-year-old seed in the ground, water will fall from the sky and food will grow out of the ground. Don't tell me there's a food shortage. There's a gardening knowledge shortage. Okay. You know, people have no idea how this place works. So if they have you in a ball, and they say global warming, we're running out of land, we're overpopulated, when every family could have an acre in Australia and rest of Australia, half of Australia would be empty. Okay. Right. That's if there's 8 billion people. Okay. It's ridiculous. Right. We're running out of fuel. There's free energy everywhere. They're hiding free energy. Okay. We're trapped on this ball. So if you're trapped in a ball, your thoughts are limited. You've cut off your ability. You live in fear, right? They control your mind with the television programming. They're programming your mind with the news. They're steering it north, east, west, south. News is an acronym for steering your mind. And they make you worry, and they give you headlines, the headlines, right? When you're worried. And so if you live in fear and you don't think that there's any more, and you believe in government then you've given away your rights. You've given away your ability to thrive and reach your true potential. They don't want us meeting our true potential. And the Rockefellers said it themselves. They said, I think it was Rockefellers. They said, I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. So you go to college and they don't teach you life skills in college. They teach you horrible. They teach you nonsense, right? They teach you how to become a good little slave, right? So anyone listening to this, if you're sending a kid to college, you are wasting their money. You are setting them up for failure. There's so many better ways to educate yourself. And one of them, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to take better than any college education would be if you hit the homeschooling button here and you go to Crow 777 Radio. Are you a subscriber to Crow? Do you listen to Crow?
I'm not aware of it.
So it's $8 a month, better than any college. Okay. Right. Okay. He does a 2-hour podcast twice a week. And there's like over 400 past episodes. So here's college. Ready? You get your kid and you. Okay. Don't just make your kid do it. Listen to 1 episode a day, 2 new ones a week and 3 old ones. Right. So it's 2 hours a day. You can listen to it while you're gardening, while you're bike riding, while you're kite surfing. If you have some waterproof stuff, you can listen to it while you're driving somewhere, while you're whatever. You can just listen to it while you're putting a new roof on your house. Okay. So you can listen to it while experiencing life rather than sitting in a jail, looking at a chalkboard and having a teacher, raise your hand when you have to go to the bathroom and then going for your shitty lunch. Okay. After a couple of weeks, let alone months or a year, you have more life skills than any college is going to give you. Right. You're going to learn how to navigate this infested realm of evil, this infested with evil realm we live in. Right. So that's it. So, I remember when my son was born, I was like, oh my God, I have to save for college. Oh my God, I have another kid, college, right? Because that's what we're programmed. Right. It's nonsense. Absolute and total nonsense. The only thing college is a social experience, how to live away from home and take responsibility for yourself. Guess what? Get your kid, get a bunch of kids that are ready for college, rent them a house down on like Cape Hatteras, South Carolina, or wherever, right? That'll cost you a couple $1,000s, right? And then have them listen to their Crow episode every day, have them learn how to kite surf, have them get a job, work for a little bit, make a little extra money, have them grow a garden, okay? Right? Those kids are going to be the smartest kids around, right? This whole college debt system, is ridiculous. You come out of college with college debt, then now you have to, especially doctors have to pay off their loans. Then they become slaves to the drug company, and the drug company is like, we're going to send you down to the Bahamas if you keep prescribing these drugs, right? It's all absolute and total control. So bottom line is they're hiding your true potential. They're hiding free energy, right? There's already free energy. If you look back in like the Tatarian research, the old world, they had free energy. Okay. You just they're hiding it. It's plain and simple and obvious. I mean, why in the hell in the world would anybody that creates a perpetual motion or an over unity device become a national security threat? What? Right? And people will, well, over unity doesn't exist. That's what they've brainwashed you to believe. They do exist. I've seen it.
But just in my rudimentary research, I went to U.S. Patent Office and I found some device that has superluminal speed. And superluminal means faster than the speed of light. And allegedly that's not supposed to happen. But here's a patent that talks about changing gravity and superluminal speed. It's like, well, that's interesting. How can we go faster than the speed of light when allegedly that's not supposed to happen?
I'm not even sure light travels.
Right. I mean, like, when you start questioning, when you start pulling up that little tapestry, the whole rug comes undone. You're like, well, let me question everything with boldness.
Yeah.
For if there was a creator, he would want us to question him with boldness than to leave blind faith.
Right.
And I think it's our duty to do that. to look into everything and start questioning things. Like for me, it was the food, and then it kind of led into the COVID, and now it's leading into just every area. I'm going to be having a guest on soon talking about organ transplantation and how, people are going to be shocked by that, and they may all change their organ donor status. I certainly have already changed it.
Yeah. And people like, well, what about, photos of Earth and all the astronauts that have been to space? They're all lies. All the photos are admittedly fake, right? Glober's like, there's photos for the last 70 years. We have photos of Earth. I'm like, can you send me one? Well, no, every excuse in the book. They won't send you one. And then when they do send you one, I'm like, you just sent me like the first photo from a rocket and it shows a perfectly flat horizon. Like, what are you trying to show me?
You had mentioned something, because I saw a video you did just recently with Stu Peters, and you had talked about, I think it was the Challenger.
Oh, yeah.
And part of that conversation that you had with him, the guy that he was talking about, I've broached that subject with him because I've texted him before. Don't do that. That won't be beneficial for either of you, to that guy, the Space Force guy. And I also have a friend that I went to residency with who's part of the Artemis program, and if he ends up going to space, I'll see if I can reach out to him, although I doubt he'll talk to me because of my stance on other things.
So hold on. I'm trying to, where are we going here? That's not what I wanted. To go, I'll get to the Challenger in a second, but since this came up, I'll show you. This is the external tank. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Have you seen this?
This is wild.
The external tank. So they look, they're showing you that they're looking out the window. So it's being filmed from the shuttle that's going up. It's going up at over 17,000 miles an hour. And
this tank is falling away from
this
them.
Tank is falling so fast, it's going to, this is me showing you that this isn't from space. This is from our front yard. This is done by another flat earther. Just looking up, got a solar panel, flip it over, and that's how easy it is to fake, right?
Oh,
but
wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to show you. Oh yeah. So here is this thing. How are they filming this thing falling? Doesn't that look like a balloon? I claim it is a balloon. Watch Felix when he jumps. Watch how fast he disappears.
He disappears because he's falling.
He's falling. This thing is 20,000 pounds empty, I think. Is that falling? And how's it being filmed by somebody going up? Imagine trying to film a car and you're on a highway traveling 100 miles an hour and the other car is coming at you 100 miles an hour. Okay. And as it passes you, you try to film it. You're going 200 miles an hour separating from each other. Now increase that to 1,000 miles an hour. You can't even fathom it.
That just went by.
And yeah. So we're watching this and then all of a sudden we saw this thing. What is this?
A cow?
I think it's a quadcopter of some sort, like, because you got the four pokes here, and this is some sort of recovery vehicle, right? So here it comes, there it is, and somehow we caught it. Don't know, man. This is on NASA's own film.
And shouldn't that be I don't know much about physics, but wouldn't that be tumbling if it would just dropped off rather than, because it doesn't have fins?
It would be tumbling, right? But it's not, right? And the whole thing, I mean, when you really look at it, this thing has got PVC along the side of it, right? This thing's supposed to go faster than anything else, faster than the SR-71, which is like a needle. Okay. A needle. It can't even have paint on it. It goes Mach 3, 2.3 or 3.2. This thing's going 10 times faster. 10 times faster.
I mean, you'd have a tough time convincing me that that's not in a bowl of water and with a picture below it.
It could be. I think it's actually just a balloon. I think it's just a helium balloon.
It's hard to tell when you see something so unusual, and it looks unusual.
Yeah. This is a giant balloon. This is also a balloon. This is also a balloon.
Look how
Okay.
much rocks.
It's just a balloon. Period.
Even the bottom of it looks, of the shuttle, that
Yeah.
portion of it looks like it's.
And look,
and it's,
look at it. It's wobbling around on the wind a little bit. You see it wobbling? Okay. This is just a little fireworks show. It got bright lights here and some smoke. Maybe a little bit of thrust. Okay. And it's just floating up and away. That's it. And it's leaving a heavy smoke trail. Now, all of a sudden, rockets don't have smoke trails. What's going on there?
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Where you can see the cone of fire sticking out with no smoke.
Yeah. And this is a docking maneuver. Okay. Check this out. People want to believe that this is real. So hold on. Let me get a little farther. Jump. Okay. So watch this. They're going to film this. This thing's going 17,500 miles an hour, and it's doing this back flip. Are you supposed to believe that? It's cool. It's like mind blowing. Like, wow.
And what my understanding is if the atmosphere is rotating with the Earth, and you have to be out of the atmosphere, I mean, the angular motion of a molecule of oxygen could be going at what kind of speeds? Can you imagine? If it's on that edge of, say, space and atmosphere, I mean, how fast that would, because of the angular motion, as you get further from the center, you travel faster.
Yeah.
Like that guy shouldn't have fallen straight down when you showed him fall. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. There's so many interesting things.
He shouldn't have fallen straight down. He should have fallen and then get carried away by the atmosphere as it was.
Yep. We saw that.
That tank just blew up.
Yeah. And the Challenger crew, have you seen Level and the Next Level yet?
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So these are two movies that are fantastic. They came out 2 years ago, 1 year ago on Flat Earth Day, which is April 22nd. And they're fantastic. Do you have my app, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next Thursday, we're going to have high def Level. Next Friday, we're going to have, is it this Friday? There'll be the high def, the Next Level. And then on Saturday, Level with Me is coming out, and we are going to take apart the besides a whole bunch of other stuff, the whole space program and the shuttle disaster. Okay. Alleged disaster. This is going to be a game changer. So many good people in it. So make sure you catch Thursday, Friday, and Saturday when it premieres. It's going to be a game changer. But all these people are alive. They all have identical twins. They all still use the same name, work for universities, and none of their twins showed up at any of at their funerals. Weird, right?
Well, to have a twin with the same name is...
They have a twin with the same name.
Odd.
Don't you think at least one of them would have spoke at the siblings' funeral? Nope.
Unless they were just too shook up about the whole thing.
Yeah, that must be it. That's a good Glover excuse right there.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
I have seen a few minute thing of that, and how they have the same name and how they speak the same and they same motions and it's
yeah, there's all sorts of stuff. For those of you that don't know my app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. It's $3, one-time price. There is a subscription. You don't need it unless you want to message other people or use a couple of the new advanced features that actually use cost resources. Have you checked out the new trivia game? So we got a new games page, and if I open up the trivia, Earth trivia, Let's do 2 questions. Ready?
Okay.
We'll do 2. So 2 players. Okay. What is the 5th sign in the zodiac?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither. I'll say Virgo, and you can say Leo. And the answer is, you got it. Leo. Very good.
Oh, thanks.
All right.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, we'll have to do 3 in case we get it. We'll do 3. Blue Origin was created by who?
I'm not sure what Blue Origin is.
Blue Origin is the space program. Not SpaceX, but Blue Origin is the other one where Captain Kirk went up into space.
Oh, is that Bezos?
Jeff Bezos, correct. So we'll both pick Jeff Bezos. We both get that right. And it goes on and on and on. So, and then we say, and I got 50% right. You got 100. There you go. Nice work. And then the next game that's coming out, oops, that's not what I want to do. The next game is going to be amazing. This game, it's the old concentration game, and you have different levels, a whole bunch of different levels, and you can play remote. We can connect, and then we'll play together. Oh, that's super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Brain strengthening games. But on the app, have you used the friend finder at all?
I have not.
Okay. So people's like, I wish I knew some people around me that were flat earthers. So you let it load and it'll show you all of the other people around you. Now I can click on any one of these dots. I can click on this guy right here. And there's Howie. If I click on this one's got a profile. I can click on that, see their profile. I can send them a message. You can do video calls. I can go into messaging, and I got different groups here. I can create my own group. I can do a video call in a group, and everybody can join in. It does a whole bunch of stuff, but that requires a subscription of $11 a year. $11 a year. Very affordable. It's like, you ever buy anybody a margarita? There you go.
Yeah, that's
it.
More than that subscription.
Right. And the images section has all sorts of stuff. Like, you're trying to talk to somebody, explain flat Earth to them, just go through these images. And
there's stuff is really interesting.
Yeah, amazing stuff, right? I mean, my favorite on here is like when someone believes in the moon landing, you open up the moon lander and go, hey, do you think that is real? I mean, that is a spaceship. Are you kidding me?
With zero pressure on the outside and positive pressure on the inside, and it didn't turn into a balloon that just blew up. Same with their spacesuits. It didn't just turn in. The spacesuit looks like it's perfectly designed to be in water, not in space.
I don't even think that's the case. I mean, would you put your kid in there and drop them in a lake? I don't think so.
No.
So you got you have the moonlander here, right? So let's just go forward to a couple images, right? Pretty cool. Well, this is on a set, obviously, but this is the paneling at the top. If somebody sheetrocked your basement like this, you wouldn't pay for it. Okay, this is a spaceship. Okay, look at this. Gaps, rivets.
There's a place in northern Arizona that is a reconstruction of the Lake of Tranquility. I tried to go, but I didn't have four-wheel drive, and you definitely, they weren't making it easy for you to go there. But if any of the listeners get a chance, go check it out. There's a reconstruction of the Lake of Tranquility where they used to allegedly film some of these lunar things. So do you see the rocket thrust the nozzle right here? And the moon is all made of powder, but it didn't blast a crater below them. Okay, so now let's watch the launch. Okay, so here you go. You got the thruster here. This is when they're leaving the moon. Okay, the thruster's down here. Okay, and then wait a minute. Where's the thruster? It stayed there.
It left the thruster there. Who panned up? How did they get the film back to Earth? Okay. What was it? Just an explosion, and then the thing just floated up and met with the orbiter?
Is there any pictures of inside the LEM?
I don't think so. There's two grown men in there without no seats, right? So if you're in there and you're in space, so there's no resistance, like a boat in the water has resistance. If you and I were on a rowboat and we moved around, the boat would move, would start turning. It wouldn't stay in its orientation. If this guy hiccuped, sneezed, the thing should go cartwheeling through space.
What would be interesting to see is if there's a space inside there, that rocket that's at the bottom should probably come up inside of the space where they're sitting, in between them. Because that's a huge nozzle that was sticking out of the
Well, it's below, it left it there, right? And then we have our perfect boot print, doesn't match. And then the Globers are like, oh, they wore like snow boots over them. I'm like, oh, they have an extra set of boots over their boots. Look at these stupid friggin' rain boots, right? How come an astronaut doesn't explode? Go Google like soda can in a vacuum chamber, okay? Before it becomes a vacuum, it explodes. How come they don't explode?
Right, it's a big Ziploc baggie, basically.
Right.
And there's nothing to hold them in. You'd need, I don't know if anything could withhold that.
They're in a friggin' snowboarding suit, right? It would explode. You have a Poland Spring, a bottle of water half full or whatever, some air in it on an airplane, just by going to altitude. And when you open it, it's like, and that's just the tiniest change in pressure. Okay. Absolute insanity. And that rover, that LEM had a car in it with rubber tires. Okay. And an umbrella. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's a antenna.
Yeah.
And beach chairs. Oh, no. Those are $100,000 chairs. Okay.
What's interesting is the technology they had to drive that, I guess, electric car, because there's no air to have a combustion engine. How come it took them so many years to make an electric car if they had that thing? And where are the batteries?
Yeah. Right?
The amount of batteries and weight that you would get from those batteries.
And when we crank up the levels, why is there a box around the Earth? Why does that have a box like it was photoshopped? Why is that?
These are things that make the normies, if you will, go, that something's not right.
Yeah.
Well, even how he's even lit up, because if he's in the shadows, which the sun's coming in.
Oh, they're talking about it's reflecting. There's a whole Mythbusters, which are basically just paid shills. They did this whole breakdown of why he's lit up like that. It's just nonsense. Absolute total nonsense.
Shadows,
right?
You see so many of those.
Here are all of the landing spots for all of the moon missions. Right? But then we have a picture with the Earth over here. Wait a minute. If the same side of the moon is always facing Earth, the Earth would always be above you between 11 and 1 o'clock. It would never be on the horizon.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Can people look and see something on the moon where they allegedly landed now?
Oh my God, the stuff they just show like a little line. They show just such garbage. It absolutely shows nothing whatsoever. Okay. Hold on, I got another one. So we have where is it? We have where is it?
I want to be respectful of your time.
We can go a few minutes and then we'll wrap it up. Sure.
I could do this all day.
Go ahead. Ask me why I'm looking for something. You talk.
No, just you were mentioning how they've looked up there with telescopes and things, and they haven't really seen much, just little bits of things here and there.
Right. They're just showing you nonsense. Basically, they're like, see this little dark spot. That's the lander. Crazy. I had one that just shows you the really go. Oh, here we go. So watch now. The sun is where? Off to the left, right? So we're watching him, and when panning to the right, panning to the right. And now his shadow is kind of going like the sun's behind the camera all of a sudden.
Right.
Okay. And then we're panning and we're panning and we're panning. And now the sun is over there. How did the sun get on the other side of him?
Wow. Wait, and what disturbs me is if I was in space and I was, in a spacesuit that's protecting my life, I would not be doing the things that he's doing where I could get a hole in my suit. I may be just a bit of a chicken, but I wouldn't be bouncing off the ground and flopping back and forth and trying to pick something. I'm like, well, it's gone. Forget it.
Look, this is just slowed down. They're hanging on wires. I think in this scene, they actually have a big balloon, like, a 15 square foot, wide balloon, making them weightless so they can move around. Right? Kind of just like that.
Because if
look, he dropped his hammer. He can't pick it up. The guy, he's trying to pick up his hammer and he can't pick it up. He's trying to get that. Can't get it. I can't get it.
If he would have just speared himself on that pole, he'd be dead because his suit would.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And this guy, he's the one that was left up in the orbiter, right? He's just showing you stuff and then something floats away and the camera pans up. Who's filming him? Who filmed him?
Who just filmed that?
Yeah.
He was in there alone.
Yeah. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on, and they want you to believe this is what's going on. They got these batteries and this, and it's, from light to dark, it's like 500 degrees difference. Right. Go ahead, get in this, drop this guy in Death Valley for a couple of hours and see if he can live there with just like 120 degree temperature. Okay. Put somebody in here and put him in a vacuum chamber. You know why NASA never only put someone in a vacuum chamber once? Because the guy almost died.
Yikes.
Yeah. Mark Sargent's got a challenge out there that he will go in a vacuum chamber with an astronaut in a spacesuit if they're willing to do it. No one will bite on that because, you can't do it. First you'd explode. No one wants to pay attention to that. They're like, oh, no, it's got different layers of Mylar in it. Bullshit.
But what keeps it in? Nothing. Mylar still will expand, even if it's really tough Mylar.
Even if it was a armored suit of steel, it's going to explode. You've seen the train car implode.
Yeah, even steel will explode. I remember watching, I forgot the guys from the 80s, science guy, and he collapsed a 55-gallon drum. Just by heating it up and putting an ice pack on it. Right. And the reason I don't do it the other way, because it's too dangerous. It'll explode and kill everybody around you. Right. Yeah. This is the lander coming back to the orbiter coming back to the lander or whatever. Really? Look at this. Right. That makes more sense with the Earth up there. He's kind of filming up, but how did they frame that? Yeah, how did they do that? Chest. Yeah, shooting from his chest, and then here's the rover. No focus, no aperture. Yeah. No, nothing. It's so stupid, and people just want to believe. They want to believe, right? And how much work could you get done with this glove on? Okay, and how come the glove doesn't explode? Exactly. It would turn into a giant balloon and then pow. Yeah. And, and thank God they have water airtight zippers in case you have to pee. Okay. So stupid. So stupid. And here are the new Artemis outfits. Look at these boots. Look at the boots. They're friggin' rain boots. I guess someone can make the argument that that's to protect them from Earth while they're walking. Oh, please. But I mean, it's a giant Ziploc baggie you're in with zippers on it. The moon is the real false flag. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, and you can't fake the moon landing, God forbid, you know? There's no way you can fake it, okay? Right? And people, well, I've seen the Apollo, you know, where did that come from? How did they parachute back from space, you know, because they were gone for 6 days or whatever it was. And if you look at the lunar orbit speed and coming back to Earth, it's ridiculous. But how did they do that? Like, is there anybody in there? I don't know. But perhaps it was done this way because this is how they tested. Right? No one's going to see that plane.
No.
And they drop it and they land it. And I don't even think that the astronauts are on there. I think they just do a quick edit and they have them floating in a thing in the water. I don't think the astronauts would even agree to go in that. It's too dangerous.
It hits the water so hard.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that thing is falling back to Earth, you know, where it's heating up red hot, and then it drops parachutes. What would happen to a parachute going 1,000 miles an hour? It would rip to shreds in a split second. This thing's going like,
you need to quit thinking and you can't use your mind. You can't
10,000 miles an hour. Look, this thing going before this opens, rip. It would vaporize. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And people just want to believe. People just want to believe, right? And then, you know, they believe that this is flying in space. Look at this thing. Look at the movements on this. This is actual NASA footage right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's on an arm and someone's.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the space station is interesting too, because how many years were they building it and there's no photos of them out there welding it and putting it together and bolting it and
none.
Exactly.
Right. And then the famous, you know, this photo, which we looked at earlier, we took it off their website and we brought it into Photoshop, cranked up the levels. And again, why is there a friggin' box around it? Why is there a box around it? Does space have boxes around everything?
Didn't think so.
It's just total fakeage. So again, you catch NASA lying once, faking it once, then you can unwind the entire thing. You know, why would they go to this great expense? Because the globe lie is the most important deception that they have. Because without it, people will figure out our true importance, our true position in this world, and all the governments would fall because people would start ignoring them, as we all should. Right? People are like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just one person, you know, and the answer is no, you're not. There's plenty you can do. And just by disconnecting, unplugging from the heliocentric matrix and doing your best to wake up other people. I think a purpose here is to figure out this place, expand the mind of the creator, because we are all part of the creator. Right. And your job is to navigate this place and help others, too, that are willing to listen. So, you know, that's my mission. That's why I walked away from everything to do this, because this world is going to hell if we allow it. But, you know, George Orwell said in his book, you know, the vision of the future is a boot stamping on a person's face forever. And the moral of the story is don't let it happen. Well, that's what I'm doing here. I'm not going to let it happen. And, you know, people say, oh, Dave, with all of the insanity that's going on in the world, the trafficking of children and the boogeyman, you know, thing that they're doing and all of the stuff. Why are you talking about flat Earth? Because flat Earth is the key to it all. When you understand that you don't have to participate in any of this, when you understand who you are, really where you are, the true power of your mind, when you understand that nobody has control over you than in your imagination, when you understand that you have everything that you need, it's all available if you just know where to look for it and how to navigate this world, then everything changes. One person awake and aware, connected to source, is more powerful than armies and armies of disconnected nonsense. So believing that the earth is a globe matters. It matters so much, because if you believe that, you believe that you're insignificant, that you're powerless. You believe that we're running out of everything. You believe that there's nothing you can do, and that your life is truly meaningless, when the truth is completely the opposite. We live in this amazing realm, and it's being taken from us, stolen from us, willingly. People are willingly, because they're lazy. They've been fluoridated. They've been, GMO'd. They're poisoned. They're sick. They're tired. They're in debt, and they're still playing the game. And if we want to win this, we have to get off their monopoly board, and we have to get off their map. We have to realize our true place in this realm, and we have to take back our power. And the way they control us is with the globe lie and their fake money system. And that's why, I'm a fan of alternative ways to, have currency. The easiest, best, most powerful thing on some scale is just trading with other people, bartering with other people. The energy behind that is amazing. It literally lifts your spirit. And then, but that doesn't always work, because you need, like that person doesn't have this and you don't have any credit, where you need some sort of currency. And there's digital currencies, not the CBDC. That's slavery, right? The central bank is digital currency. There's other currencies out there, cryptocurrencies, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin, again, is a great idea, but it's not, it's in my opinion, it's not, it's totally trackable, and you want an anonymous source. So there are other ways on the app. And this is not investment advice or anything, but on the app, if you hit the shopping cart button and you scroll down to, where does it go? Oops, wrong thing. You scroll down. What, my phone just froze. Here we go. Where is it? Scroll down to Epic Cash and Pulse and Hex, if you're familiar with those. All I say is just learn about them. Learn about them. Don't spend any money. Learn about them, or spend some money, right? Learn about them. Look at what's going on with these things. I think that these two things are the key to us breaking free of their control system.
I agree. I did some speculation in Bitcoin and made some money, but I'm leery of it now. But I think it's probably good to have a little bit of a lot of different types of coins.
Sure.
Silver, gold,
food,
water. Yep. Ways to keep it yours, and training on how to do that so that you don't hurt yourself or your family.
If you look at Epic Cash is what Bitcoin would be if Bitcoin was created today. It's completely private. It costs a fraction of a penny to send money, any amount, anywhere. Nobody can ever see what you did. And it's super, super easy to use. And it's just going to get better and better. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, and one other thing, I want to do a quick little plug. Check out my link below. But Harvest Right freeze dryers. It's a great way to have food preserved for up to 25 years.
Oh, nice.
If you do it properly, and they teach you how to do it. You can freeze dry meat. I call some things weak food, but ice cream is a great weak food that is really good for morale when you're having a rough time. Fruit is delicious. The kids will love it. It gets so much sweeter. But take a look at that. See if it's right for you.
I will actually check that out. I do a lot of dehydration, but I haven't done freeze drying.
I've had mine since 2016. I would recommend, if you buy one, get the kind with the air pump. It's a little more expensive, but then you don't have to deal with all this oil, because we had the oil pump for a while and it was a hassle. But then now they've come up with this air.
I'll check it out.
That's
it awesome.
Takes it down to -40 and then sublimates the water out, and then you're left with delicious food. And all right,
so don't forget, level with me, April 22nd. It used to be called Earth Day. It's now called Flat Earth Day. Just remember that. And And check out the app, check out flatearthdave.com. If you don't want the app, whatever, there's tons of information on the website. If you have a show and you're interested in having me on, book Dave, there's a button there. All my social medias, all my YouTube channels, DITRH, lots of short, great videos for anybody. But it's hard to get a new person to watch an hour documentary, 2-hour documentary. All my videos are under 5 minutes, right? So start there, and then you'll really learn what's going on. So big week ahead. Level with Me is coming out, and also April 29th. Anybody in the Northeast or Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, we're having a casual meetup at a pizza restaurant April 29th. Check out my channel for the video. April 29th in Stamford, Connecticut.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate your time, and I know this was there's a lot of research that's gone into this, and I appreciate you for opening my mind, and hopefully the listeners and the viewers can just start cracking that door open a little bit, because I'm not saying what you're saying is right, but it has really good merit, and we need to take everything at its what we can see with our own eyes.
I should have mentioned this earlier, because anybody that's doubting it's probably already gone, but I offer 3 Bitcoins, whether you like Bitcoin or not. That's like 75 grand right now, or no, 90 grand right now, right? 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. So here's the challenge. You have to get the app every day. There's a featured video. Watch that video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you think the Earth is a globe, send me your proof. But before you do, check out the frequently asked questions page to make sure it's not already answered there. 1 proof of the globe, and you win 3 Bitcoins. I think that's worth your time.
That's worth some research time, but I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, well, I know you can't do it, so I'm not worried about my Bitcoins, but people might think I'm crazy. Go ahead and do it, go ahead and do it. And I'll delete all my channels, and I'll go back to working in the slave world.
That's a lot of confidence right there. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks for the chat. See ya.
Just a reminder for everyone out there, duty uniform of the day, the full armor of God. Let's all make courage more contagious than fear.
I have a new affiliate, Harvest Right Freeze Dryers. Take a look at the link below and see if it's right for you. It's a great way to store food for you and your family up to 25 years if stored properly.